back to Double Dose. I'm your host, Daniel.
And I'm your host, Dipesh.
And we're here to take you from Earth to the quantum realm.
Oh? Is that a Marvel reference?
That's where the quantum thoughts come from.
I plucked them out of there. I've built something. It's in the back. I can't show you.
When you hit the negative 238 Kelvin or whatever, 0 Kelvin, then you get there, boy.
I have the machine in the back, but you don't know her. She goes to a different school. So I can't show you.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. Daniel.
Blow my mind.
I got something for you, man. Do I have a bit of an echo? Am I just getting used to the mics?
I think if we talk really loud, it ends up echoing.
Okay.
I don't know why. It's so fucking annoying.
I'm going to talk real soft. I'm going to talk real soft for you, your folk. Okay, sorry. Okay. Let's get stuck in. Okay, so I want to talk to you about someone called Dr. Ellis Silver, who's an ecologist, and he's studied evolution, and he has a book called Humans Are Not From Earth. Okay. It claims that we were brought here tens of thousands of years ago by aliens, and his reasoning is humans appear so unable to cope with life on Earth and don't appear to have evolved here. On top of the abnormally developed brain we have, he puts forth that there are 4 human ecological characteristics that are not in line with Earth's living environment.
Wow. First
is the low back pain reaction. He pointed out how humans regularly suffer from bad backs, which he theorized was because life evolved on a planet with lower gravity. All medium and large animals on Earth do not walk upright. This also makes humans incompatible with the laws of evolution, this is supposedly. The second is that the skin is fragile. For a planet full of ultraviolet rays from the sunlight and other harsh environments, human skin is just too fragile. Other animals on Earth can survive in nature without any damage. Evolution tells us that humans lost their hair that initially would have protected them. The third is difficulty in childbirth. In the past, the mortality rate of childbirth was extremely high. Other animals just don't have this problem. I'd also say probably domesticated animals probably do have that problem, but I guess wild animals don't seem to have that problem.
More of a problem
selective breeding
for people.
Yeah. Animals can also walk, run, swim as soon as they are born, and humans are pretty much just useless as soon as they're born.
Yeah.
The fourth is chronic disease. Humans are very susceptible to chronic disease, and animals don't. We are susceptible to colds. Our food needs to be cooked, but animals aren't picky with any of that stuff. And I will add, I tried to do some research to find out if animals really do get chronic diseases, and from what I could read, which I haven't gotten deep into, many of them have evolved to avoid showing signs of illness. So I might need to read into that to find out what that means. And then he goes on to say that while Earth approximately meets humans' needs as a species, but perhaps not as strongly as whoever brought humans to the planet initially thought. Bizarrely, he believes Earth could actually be some kind of galactic jail.
I've heard of this theory.
Pretty interesting. And I will add that some scientists have claimed that they cannot rule out that panspermia, the panspermia hypothesis that bacteria distributed by space dust, asteroids, and meteors arrived on Earth and sparked life. And I found this little article. In 1998, 2 rocks from outer space forced their way into Earth's atmosphere, one hitting Morocco while the other one landing near a basketball court in Texas. It was not revealed whereabouts in Morocco that the first one smashed down. An analysis was carried out through the international collaboration of scientists at the United States Department of Energy's Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. They revealed that 2 of the space rocks, both of them, discovered in Morocco and Texas contain hydrocarbons, acids, and other organic substances. More importantly, however, the meteorites were found to carry water within them, the most essential element for life as we know it.
Wow. What a journey.
What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, man, so much.
And I kind of got two-parter going on there. But Ellis Silver's theory, I mean, I think it's plausible.
We don't know.
We don't know. It is interesting. We do all have back pain. A lot of us humans. Childbirth is... I mean, without modern science, it was a very high mortality rate.
How long ago were they saying humans came here? Because there's, bones of human-like things for like 1 million years or so, right?
And then I guess you could possibly go down the way of saying maybe we got spliced with alien DNA and we were created, or we were brought here and we were at a stage where we were similar enough with the most advanced apes blended. I don't know, but interesting.
Yeah, there's that picture where it's depicting the aliens splicing the chimp DNA with their own, making us.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Pretty cool. And I think those are some pretty good points.
I don't know about the lower back pain thing and the chronic disease thing because I'm sure before we started introducing all this crazy shit to our food, we probably didn't have as many diseases as we do now.
Right.
In terms of diabetes and shit like that. Also before modern medicine where people were kept alive way less, infection would have killed you most of the time. And I feel like people were heaps sturdier back then. But yeah, they get back pain, but I feel like living like natural life, like tribal lives and, squatting all day. I feel like since the Industrial Revolution where it's like one person needs to do a certain task over and over and over again versus having someone in the jungle, doing a hunting, gathering, doing a wide range of things. Those guys barely have back pain. I would say from what I've seen, it's not like, I'm sure they do, but I would say probably less than average here. I'd say the average person over there, like the way they squat, they're walking barefoot most of the time. Shoes could have a massive impact on
for sure,
having back pain. So
I mean, this is a old book. I believe.
Do you know when it was made or written or where he claimed
Let's
to do
have a
this?
quick little look, shall we?
Yeah, mate. I also think, the disease thing is potentially. Depends when it was written, but I'm sure chronic disease was way less. Like they keep saying illness is like the hospital care just in budget and in general just keeps going up for people because people get more and more sick.
Supposedly 2017, which is a bit strange.
Oh, that's way newer than I thought.
Yeah, me too.
Where's he basing this off? Any scientific thing or he's just a gut hunch?
He's an ecologist, but I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, like, it's food for thought, I guess. It's interesting. I did not realize though. Yeah, it's like very rare to find anyone that will live a life without any chronic disease. If anything, it shows up early. If it doesn't, it's 100% going to come up later in life.
Mm-hmm.
And animals just don't seem to do that.
Okay.
From what I can see. And the childbirth thing as well.
What did you think about it?
I thought it was very interesting. I mean, look, I wouldn't necessarily say that we're on Earth in a galactic jail cell, but at the same time, it is very interesting to think that if we're all animals and creatures of Earth, why is our skin so terrible for the natural environments of Earth? Why are we so bad at childbirth? Why
dark-skinned people are fine?
No, dude, you can still get sunburnt.
You can, but not as easy.
But like an animal could just spend all day and not get
but
sunburnt.
He was talking about the hair. We used to be heaps hairier.
Yeah, but why would that have gone?
Well, we didn't need it.
I don't think we would have been indoors.
Also, I would say
to lose it.
I probably would say I think black people. I don't think I've ever seen a black person with crazy hairy arms. Have you?
I guess it depends on the country they come from. I don't know.
I'm talking maybe like Sudanese or something like that. Or I've never noticed they have any hair. It's like almost they're hairless.
I guess it depends what area you're from.
I ain't seen no Robin Williams arms on.
Yeah, those are pretty hairy. But at the same time, like, why would you have lost that? Why would we have lost that? Because even when we started having shelters and stuff like that, it would have been so much outdoor lifestyle.
Was to be for warmth,
right?
And so in places that are really hot, you don't need it. I would assume.
But the more hotter the climate, the more hairy people are because of direct sweat.
Oh, shit.
I'm Indian, man.
But what about... But then I'm thinking about people near the equator, like Africa and shit.
You got Middle Eastern Indians and all that. They're very hairy people.
But not African people. And it's hot as fuck there.
I don't know. It's a hard thing to say. I don't know every type of African person. Like I've seen African people with hair and I've seen African people with like no hair.
Most I've seen almost hairless.
They wouldn't all be the same.
No, I'm not
in
saying
Africa. That's what I'm saying.
Everything's the same, but
so I can't confidently say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Northern European countries, they're hairy as fuck.
Yeah, yeah. And then also you have Asian people that
no hair.
No hair. So, I mean, I don't know whereabouts this would have, where we started would have dropping off hair. But at the same time, why would we have started dropping it off? Because when we even started making shelters, we were still living a very active outdoor lifestyle, and there wasn't been closed doors and windows.
Because the hair was like.
And we're talking all body, full body.
The deciding factor for having hair would have been: you have hair, you survive. You don't have hair, you die. That's how long ago it would have started changing.
You don't have hair, you die.
You don't have hair, you die. Like, oh, let's say, you know, in the wilderness, like cold, like the snow.
Yeah.
If you don't have a beard, big hairy chest, big hairy arms, almost like a fucking chimp. If you didn't have that, then you're dead.
So then how do we end up losing it? You know, that's an interesting thought.
Because it was then not a choice of natural selection anymore. It was the choice of, it doesn't matter. Like, for instance, survival of the fittest doesn't matter anymore because you can heal anyone, pretty much, right?
But I'm thinking,
so whether you have
to get here,
flat feet or whether you have bad back or whatever it is, you don't need to be lifting to survive. You don't need strength to survive anymore. So the strongest aren't going to survive. It's going to be everyone lives.
Say you're from your earliest ancestor that was full body hair to the modern day human.
Yeah.
I don't see why we would have had to lose the hair.
Because you didn't need it.
Why wouldn't you have?
What do you mean?
The environment has not changed.
Doesn't matter because you're not naturally selecting the hairiest people anymore.
So you're saying we actively found less hairy Neanderthals more attractive than hairy ones? No,
I think it would have been real back in the day that he's a big, hairy fucking dude. So he is very manly, very strong, very masculine, and probably very athletic. And also probably maintains warmth really well.
Yeah, you're saying all these examples of people that have hair.
Yeah.
We don't have hair anymore.
Yes.
Why don't we have hair anymore?
Because then someone gets born without hair.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's like...
But they wouldn't have survived then.
Huh?
They wouldn't have survived. Straight harsh sun right on the skin. No protection during the cold weather.
Oh, we would have gone past that already. We would have already evolved past there into having houses and having shelter.
I don't think it would have been that quick.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Huts.
Yeah, but think about it. The huts. There's no freaking doors and windows sealed shut. It's just freaking a roof over your head.
Yeah, but it does not sun on your body.
But you're outdoor all day. That's just a place to sleep. You're working out. You know, you're jumping the timeline too close to us. There's a long period of time where a freaking couple of barks over your head was the hut. It's completely out there, so there's no...
Yeah, and it's slowly fading.
The wind
you
is
still
constantly...
have uber hairy people now.
The sun's coming... The sun's beating down when you're working all day to get whatever you need for the day, food and provisions and all that sort of stuff, making stuff. And then at night time, snow and stuff, and what do you got? An animal pelt.
Yeah.
We had to get there.
Yeah, fire.
It's interesting.
Discovery of fire?
Yeah, fire would have... But then, these races that are from Siberia stuff, how did they manage?
Oh, it would have been tough.
It was just constant death. So that does, for me, it does make me think. I'm like, our skin is pretty shit for the natural environments of Earth, where every other creature can just handle it.
Only in Australia, right? It's really bad.
I'm sure.
You ain't getting skin cancer over in Europe like you are here.
You have a lower chance, but the sun's still as harsh, and if animals can handle it all year round and they haven't changed, so they've always been in the same environments, why are they more stronger for the natural sun?
Because they haven't evolved to...
But wouldn't you? Wouldn't you, though? It's interesting.
We're talking, dude, the evolution can happen over very quickly, right? They look at the...
We're talking worldwide, though.
Yeah. It's all happened very quick.
I think there was definitely a big leap all of a sudden, but yeah, it's just I don't know why the skin is so fragile to the natural elements of Earth.
Oh, you mean why wouldn't it have thrived in the sun?
Well, I'm picturing a lion, right? Just chilling in the freaking...
It's got hair. It's got hair.
Yeah, we would have required to keep the hair to battle the elements. We can't just start losing it all of a sudden.
Well, it must be some sort of hormonal imbalances start happening. as we become more intelligent, it's like it's something else is happening.
As soon as you get more intelligent, you start getting a receding hairline and it just carries throughout your whole back and stuff.
No, but like it must be a more animalistic way. Like, for instance, you can have like a really aggressive wolf-like dog with really thick hair, and then you get like really plain, more submissive dogs that have very little masculine features compared to another aggressive dog, right? They have like aggressive dogs like big shoulders, broad, buff, aggressive jaw, very sharp teeth, and like usually pointed ears or something like that, and very like thick hair, versus like the more puppy-like it becomes, the more submissive and domesticated it becomes. There was a short documentary.
So what you're saying is, with more intelligence, the less aggressive we had to be. So within nature, we started losing the survival traits.
Yeah, the survival traits go away. So there was a small documentary short film done called The White Fox Experiment, and they got the white foxes. This is done in Russia, and they got the white foxes, and they wanted to see the nature versus nurture side.
Yeah.
So what they've done, it's a terrible life for these animals, but this is Russia, so it's crazy. And they put all these dogs inside. They got 50 foxes that they selected from the wild, and they found 50 of the most aggressive they could find, and they got 50 of the most submissive and calm traits, like just emotionally. So they would test it, like hold a stick to it. How would they react? Would they immediately try and go rage at the stick, or would they immediately like do nothing, or rub up against it to try and get affection? So they bred only the 50 of the most aggressive dogs together, and they've been doing this for about 25 generations, because they can get like the generation lifestyle cycle in like a couple of years. Like dogs mature very quick, and so foxes are like just as quick, I think.
Yeah,
but
a couple of years and they're ready to have another.
Technically, like 6 months old, they can have like a puppy, another one. It's pretty quick. They got them, and they got the 50 of the most submissive, most calm, and the 50 most aggressive, and they kept breeding them together. The 50 of the most aggressive got even more aggressive. Like, I'm talking, they just put the hand up, and they're like, we do the same thing every day. We walk past, put our hand at the cage, do this, blah, blah, blah. Next person. Sorry, I got something in my throat.
That's water. Has some double dose influence water. Branded by Double Dose. Get yours at doubledose.com.au. We don't have a website. Don't go to that website.
Immediate. Dark web.
Yeah.
Link to the dark web.
It's water from the dark web. We can't tell you where it's from.
Can only buy in Dogecoin.
Yeah, exactly. Crypto water.
We got a DDP coin.
Yeah, we should get a DDP coin. It looks like this.
Yeah, it looks like a pill. So then they got 50 of the most submissive, and they bred them together. And the 50 that were the most submissive became even more submissive. And they thought they were to the point of being domesticated, that they could just take them out of the cage and snuggle them.
Right.
That and they had no human affection other than just the simple tests day to day, right? Which is like, stick, blah, 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 food, feed, react. How is it? The 50 that were more submissive started developing puppy-like features on their body. So their tails were like less puffy, and they would get less stripes. And they said they would have like different shapes, and their ears started to change shape and stuff like that.
Over how many years is this? Like 25
generations,
wow.
I believe. 25 generations they've been doing
I thought it would take a lot longer, but that's interesting because obviously I know that all the dogs we have today are from wolves. But even then, I have such a hard time understanding how the hell do you...
Like a pug to wolf.
How do you get that? Like, what? I know like some dog breeds were so specifically made.
Fox experiment.
I know some dogs are specifically been manufactured, like the Shih Tzus.
Yeah.
Like, that takes patience and thought and determination to get that specific thing in mind. Like, I feel like they knew what they were looking to get.
Yeah.
It wasn't an accident and they were like, oh, I like this. Let's just keep breeding it.
Yeah.
I find it really hard to understand how they get there. But then if you're saying it's just over 20 odd generations, That's pretty quick.
It started in 1952. She began to collect the tamest foxes from fur farms. They began with 30 male foxes and 100 vixens, most of them from a commercial fur farm in Estonia, and from the beginning chose foxes solely for tameness, allowing only a tiny percentage of the male offspring and slightly larger percentage of females to breed. The foxes were not trained in order to ensure the tameness was a result of genetic selection and not environmental influences. From the same reason, they spent most of their lives in cages and were only permitted brief encounters with human beings. After the fox had reached sexual maturity at an age of 7 to 8 months, they had their final test and assigned an overall tameness score. Among the factors that went into the score were tendency to approach the experimenter standing in front of their pen. Blah, 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 still being done. When the pup is 1 month old, the experimenter offers food with his hand, trying to stroke and handle the pup. The pups are tested twice, once in a cage and once move freely, and the other pups in the closure. By the 20th generation, 35% were elite, and by the 30th generation, 70 to 80% of the selected generation was elite. Results. Behavior, but also psychological. First psychological change detected in tame foxes were lower adrenaline levels, theorized that adrenaline might share biochemical pathway with melanin, which controls pigment production in fur.
Very interesting.
Here you go.
Here
we go. Hypothesis that said since being confirmed by research, after 8 to 10 generations, the tame foxes began to develop multicolored coats.
Dude, I think you're onto something. It's like almost like...
I was fucking tuning in, you see?
Dude, it's almost like we got soft and we lost the fur. We don't need to look at an aggressive like a Sasquatch anymore.
So multicolored coats comes from domesticated animals more than wild ones. This was followed by the development of floppy ears and rolled tails similar to those of breeds in dog.
Wow.
After 15 to 20 generations, a very small percentage of the tame foxes developed shorter tails and legs and underbites or overbites. The experimenters also discovered that the domesticated foxes show a fear response several weeks later than their wild counterparts, linked to changes in plasma levels in corticosteroids. In corticosteroids, hormones concerned with the animal's adaptation to stress. After 12 generations of selective breeding, the cortisol levels in the tame foxes were slightly more than half in the level of the control group. After 28 to 30 generations, the level had halved again. At the same time, the tame foxes' brains contained higher levels of serotonin. Moreover, tame male foxes' skulls gradually became more narrower, more like those of the female, and litters became on average 1 pup larger.
That is
all this crazy shit happens when you become more domesticated.
I just can't believe how they were. I mean, first of all, the dedication to do that experiment, incredible.
Yeah.
But I can't believe how quickly they were able to. I feel like that I would have to teach my son, and he would have to teach his grandson to keep doing this experiment to find out.
But in 8 months, they can produce another one. So it's not even 1 year. They can get to the next generation.
Still, but like, in terms of evolution, when we hear it from our heads, it takes thousands, if not millions of years to get traits and to forcefully get...
Yeah, but this is forcefully done.
I know, but I just feel like...
We're not selecting like that, dude.
I just feel,
But you can get it very quickly. If you were super tall and married another super tall person and had a baby with them...
I guess so.
And then your offspring would immediately be huge.
And you just keep marrying specifically 6'5" people only.
Yeah, and imagine what you would do in 4 to 5 generations. You would already start seeing different traits, probably in hormone levels too. It's just that we're not testing this stuff. That's like borderline... Like World War II shit.
Epigenetics?
Oh, eugenics.
Eugenics.
Yeah. It keeps going on and on. Silver fox experiment is what it's called. Sorry, not white fox.
Very, very interesting, man. I like that. That's pretty cool. I'm going to have to read up on that. I like that.
Yeah.
Write that down.
Write this down. They bred over 45,000 foxes. Yep.
How many?
45,000.
God damn. That's so many.
Yeah. And a group of animals had emerged that was tame and as eager to please as a dog.
Wow. Here I am in my head thinking it took tens of thousands of years to get the grey wolf to the dog. Man, these cavemen probably just were like, hold on to it for like my son, from me to my son, we got a nice little puppy.
Yeah.
And listen to everything I say.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
That's really cool. I couldn't understand how we got fucking Shar-Peis and Shih Tzus and all that
Imagine
sort
what
of
they
stuff.
could do in a couple 100 years.
Yeah.
But we forcefully breed dogs. Imagine what you could do in 1,000 years with a couple dogs.
Do you think it's like a endless combination of dogs we can get? We're going to constantly see stuff that we've never seen before?
Not endless. No, not endless. We're probably like near the max already.
Do you think...
Quantum thoughts.
Do you think we've gone from grey wolf to all these different variety breeds, and then there's going to be one point where you can't go further, and there's just this end, the omega dog, which is just like a trait from all dogs, and you can't push it any further. All dogs end up slowly just turning into this. No matter wherever they're from in the world, they just slowly start turning into this one breed of dog, unify all over the world.
It'll never happen like that.
What if there's this little trait in every dog, and every time you keep mixing it, it's just getting more and more of the same DNA, and it's slowly getting to a single point.
Mutts all eventually look similar.
They do.
Yeah.
And they're the best ones. They last the longest.
I think if we all did that as humans, you just start mixing the gene pool, we would look at some like sort of Asian hybrid fusion.
Well, I guess we're starting to do that now. Now that flying around is so easy and people are meeting people overseas constantly, we are like really the Gen X and our gen are like the first generation to really start getting amongst different cultures intimately.
Yeah, for sure.
Before that, it was like, don't talk to anyone else. Stick to your own clan.
Yeah, that's pretty... Yeah, I agree. And I think there would eventually be in a couple hundred years, a couple thousand
The Omega
years,
dog.
The Omega human will be some sort of Asian hybrid.
It'll just be this Mochaccino Bambino.
Mochaccino Bambino.
I'm trying to read up on this. It reminded me of this hawk goose effect. Let me have a little quick skim over here. The ethology of hawk goose effect refers to a behavior observed in some young birds when another bird flies above them. If the flying bird is a goose, the younger birds show no reaction. But if the flying bird is a hawk, the young birds either become more agitated or cower to reduce the anger. As part of the introducing experimentalism into animal behavior research, they performed experiments in which they made two-dimensional silhouettes of various bird-like shapes and moved them across the young bird's line of vision. Goose-like shapes were ignored, while the hawk-like shapes produced a response. It's pretty interesting. I'd have to look into that whole experiment. Something that's just born into animals. Especially to just see a silhouette and know the difference. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, you got something for me?
It's a quantum thought.
Oh, damn. You found the machine at the back.
I did.
Damn. I don't know how you operate that.
And it's actually got to do with what you were saying before about evolution and stuff. And
Perfect.
It's this idea that are plants actually farming us? Let me explain. So, the first life that evolves on Earth before animals are even there are plants, right?
Yep.
It's like flora and fauna. It's like that little microbiome level existence.
Yeah.
And the plants grow, and the plants grow and create the oxygen and blah, blah, blah. And then the plants are probably like, well, how am I going to produce and get more of my plant seeds spread around? How am I going to get, my most optimal efficiency of growth? How am I going to get things to be like used and eaten and fertilized and whatever it is and moving around a lot more? So whatever like microbacteria comes onto the plant, whether it's a bug or a caterpillar, like the first life on Earth, right? That little plant is probably like, hey, if I can optimize my efficiency and my growth to help grow this little thing, this thing will want to either eat me more or spread my pollen more or do my thing. So then the plant might change. It's been proven that the plant can adapt and evolve its own chemistry to live in the environment that it's in. So does it then start producing and living in this environment that it's like, hey, I should farm and grow the things around me so I can become more fruitful. So instead
it's almost like a symbiosis, isn't it?
Yeah. So has the plant really grown?
It's like a chicken. It's like a chicken or the egg.
It's like and it's more that the environment grows, and they're like, well, for these things to move around, it needs a shitload of oxygen, so I'm gonna just make that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, very, very interesting.
So the plant was here before us, for sure.
Well, what?
For sure it was. It had to be here before oxygen was here.
Would it have been a plant or like a fungus? A mold?
Yeah, it would have
Because
been
I guess
bacteria.
a fungus is almost
even come from
a fungus is almost between living
bacteria
and a plant.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they just went in two different directions.
Yeah.
One was like an animal and one was a plant. I feel like it would have started with like some sort of like mossy, fungusy growth, right?
Fungusy stuff.
And I guess simultaneously, maybe they both went in different directions and were like, we help each other out. We keep.
Yeah.
So maybe like
the plants grew us. They farmed
Earth
us.
itself it's we are all of it, creating it. I like that, dude. That's pretty cool. And then you get like meat eating plants, which is crazy, like the Venus flytrap.
Yeah,
Insane.
They're like, I'm just gonna actually grow these things so I can eat them.
Yeah.
It's just so crazy when you think about how the Earth was formed, and I just keep thinking, why do people like when you're throwing like garbage on the road? I'm like, what are you doing with yourself, man?
Yeah.
Like I just see people like hoik something out the window, and I go, is it that hard that you can't just wait till you get out of your car and just take it with you?
I think they're just too caught up with the city lifestyle, the rat race, that they forget how beautiful nature is.
It is.
And when they see it, they're like, oh man, I've been living in this shithole.
Yeah.
Fucking concrete and steel. Looks how beautiful it is. So fresh and beautiful on the eyes. It just makes you feel so nice.
And why would you want to damage that?
Yeah, you know. I don't know why you would want to just like... Oh man, it really upsets me when you go to like a beautiful park or something like that, or like a Blue Mountains or something, and you just see rubbish on like a track, and you're like, man, this is such a nice place. Are you going to do that? Like,
yeah. But what are your thoughts about that on the plants have grown us?
I like the idea of that because it's almost like, but I think I like the idea of like we help each other, because animals have evolved to get certain plants. Food from plants, and like you said, plants have evolved to get the most out of us.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like I remember seeing that wasn't how one of Darwin's hypotheses even proven, where there was a specific bird which had a beak, and he couldn't find anything that this bird ate, and then he observed it putting its long beak down the stem of a plant, and it was like, oh, well, this bird has developed a beak to get specifically down this plant's shoot to feed. But then did the plant get that shape to be
more so
spread out from the bird? Yeah.
Yeah. Chicken or the egg?
Chicken or the egg, yeah.
I think they proved it was the chicken. That a chicken was an offspring of the thing that randomly could just genetically make an egg.
The first genetic, on paper, chicken would have come from the egg of its ancestor.
No, the one before they could... Oh, yeah.
So the chicken would be the first one because you can't have a chicken's egg without the chicken giving it...
that's it.
Popping the egg out.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it seems very logical to me. That's cool, man. Have you seen any examples of that specifically?
Of the plants thing? Just trying to think.
I mean, you know, we do heavily rely on them for oxygen.
Well, it's like those plants that can only be spread its seed a lot of the time by going through the gut of another animal.
Yeah.
There's some sort of monkey.
The birds as well, like they'll just eat and then shit somewhere else and the seed spreads.
The seed can't actually burst out of its capsule until it's been eaten and digested by something.
Yeah.
There's a monkey that does it as well. It eats the fruit and then the seed comes out, but then it's primed for fertilization.
Isn't that also a specific coffee bean?
Yeah, that's the world's strongest coffee.
Oh, it's from the poo.
Yeah, it comes from the poo. The digestive tract does something else, and then the bean comes out completely whole, and then they go and pick out the bean from the poo.
When we're saying the strongest coffee, are we just talking like caffeine rating?
Yeah, caffeine, high in caffeine.
So it probably tastes like shit, like little shit.
It probably tastes extremely bitter.
Yeah.
You can buy it. It's pretty expensive.
Yeah. Do you reckon rich people would buy that and pretend they like the taste of that?
No.
But who's buying that?
You just want to try. It's a novelty.
Novelty? Okay. So no, like coffee aficionados. I'm going. I can taste some floral notes. I can taste some berries.
Too bitter. It's way too bitter.
Okay. I love when you like meet a full coffee snob and you're like, dude, yeah, if I did a blind test, you would not know.
I can tell when it's good or bad.
I can tell it's good or bad. But I think it also comes down to who makes it. You know, anyone can mess around with a machine and get a coffee extraction. But we've all been to cafes where consistently when we're going to work, where you knew the coffee was going to be good because a certain barista was on, and it's the same bean, same machine.
Guy with the curly mustache. I want him to make my drink.
No, don't give me my coffee. I want him to make my coffees. And he's like, oh, I'm just washing dishes, dude.
No, you're making coffee.
Dude, when I was working at the sports club, there was a guy who was quite burly, a large fella, and he was the dish pig. And man, look, people didn't finish their food. And I saw him multiple times while washing the dishes, just taking handfuls of chips and pizza and eating it while he's washing the food. People's leftovers.
I don't think it's that bad.
I don't know, man. This thing, like, who knows how this has been sitting out? You don't know who's touched this food, and he's over here going. And then I'm pretty sure one night he put on some cologne and was going to a brothel. So that's that. He goes, I got to, and he was so sweaty after work because after you work in a club, you are just covered with a thin film of grime. And he put on cologne. I said, where are you going? He goes, you know where I'm going. And then he goes, got to smell nice for the ladies. And I went,
are you sure you didn't go to the clubs after and do some more dancing?
Very sure.
More sweaty?
I'm very sure. Yeah, he went to another club and was like, are you going to eat that?
Going to their dishes?
Yeah.
Doing another kitchen hand?
Yeah, oh, that's so gross, man.
It's not the worst thing ever. I've been so tempted sometimes when I walk past the table and I'm starving and I can see that they've left pretty much an untouched entire basket of chips. They just walked away and I'm like so tempted to just grab a handful and shove it in my mouth.
That's not off-putting to me. It's the fucking pizza that's got like half a pizza slice resting on top of a pizza slice that's got bites out of it, and it's and the cheese has got all rubbery and plasticky because it's just sitting around. The chips are all cold. They've all been like cut open with the whatever schnitzel was on the plate. You know, like that's stuff you don't want to touch. People have been all up in that food. But like we used to do catering functions and stuff, and there'd be platters of food, and we'd take leftovers and eat that because obviously people are just serving off a platter.
Yeah,
but they're not. It's not like a personal dish where people have been like all up in there. Yeah, I don't want to touch that stuff.
Nah, okay, there's a line.
There's a line. Yeah. And look, hey, if I was starving, go for it.
Yeah, okay.
But I got standards.
Okay, that's all right.
I got something else for you.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about the Sphinx of Balochistan, if I'm pronouncing it right. Mm-hmm. So, I'm going to bring up a photo for you. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. All right. We'll bring it up on the screen for those of you watching. So, journalists pass this structure off as a natural formation, while others believe it to be a previous construction of another sphinx. Concealed within the desolate rocky landscape of Makran coastline of southern Balochistan, Pakistan, this marvel went unnoticed for centuries. A glance at the impressive sculpture shows the Sphinx to have a well-defined jawline and clearly discernible facial features such as eyes, nose, and mouth, which are placed in seemingly perfect proportion to each other.
Yep.
The Sphinx appears to be decked up in a headdress that closely resembles a Nemes headdress of the Egyptian pharaoh. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yep. It
has two large conspicuous flaps which hang down behind the ears and in front of the shoulders. The ear flaps can be discerned on the Balochistan Sphinx as well as some stripe marks. The Sphinx has a horizontal groove across its forehead which corresponds to the pharaonic headband and that holds the Nemes headdress in place. I've got another image that someone's broken down over here, which is pretty interesting to look at. You can easily see the contours of the reclining forelegs of the Sphinx, which terminate in a very well-defined paws. It's a bit hard to believe that nature could have carved this statue out. That resembles
nature. No,
it clearly resembles a well-known mythical creature.
Yep,
pretty accurate. And I'll bring up another image on screen for those of you watching, but I'm showing Daniel this image where someone's kind of labeled out what this Sphinx is sitting on it. It does look to be that these man-made pillars, you can definitely see like there's some sort of step-looking things. there's these symmetrical patterns, and
there's
that
some
looks
sort of
like
temple
that
being
looks like
built
to
out.
me something was purposely built there. That doesn't look natural to me.
That's not natural at all.
In Pakistan.
Interesting. How close is that to Egypt?
So it's east of Egypt. Let's bring
How
up the
far?
maps.
Because the Egyptians went all the way to Australia.
So I mean, Egypt's close to Middle East, and then Pakistan's close to Middle East. So let's have a look.
If it's not that far, I'm sure they might have gone there. Egyptians made it to Australia.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
There's hieroglyphs here in Australia.
there is. Okay,
Pretty
so
cool.
you got Pakistan there and Egypt there. So it's
They could have walked it.
definitely plausible, and I'd believe it. Very
I reckon
interesting.
there was maybe an exchange of knowledge, and they were trying to build something, or they were trying to get things going on there. I wonder why the Sphinx.
It's definitely not finished, and it definitely looks like something was there, and it definitely looks also like something happened to cover it.
How old is Islam?
Oh, that's tough, man, because that was like the center for science before like Catholicism took over the bloody world.
Yeah,
So it's old as.
7th century.
I thought it'd be older than that.
Youngest of the major world religions. It's the youngest?
No, Hinduism is.
Hinduism is younger.
No, sorry. Wait, what am I saying?
It's the youngest.
Oh, it's the youngest.
It's the youngest of all major religions.
That
is Islam.
doesn't make sense to me.
Look, although the roots go back further, scholars typically date the creation of Islam to 7th century, making it the youngest of the major world religions. Islam started in Mecca, in modern-day Saudi Arabia, during the time of the protest of Muhammad's life. Today, the faith is spreading rapidly throughout the world.
What are classified as major? Was it major religions? What's in that list? Christianity,
Yeah.
Hinduism, Buddhism.
That's insane that it's that fucking cooked and it's the newest one. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism, Baha'i faith, Jainism, Shinto, Taoism, Zoroastrianism, Confucianism, Cadeism, Chinese folk religion,
There's a lot.
Catholicism, Protestantism, Tenrikyo, Pentecostalism, traditional African religions, Eastern Orthodox Church, Sunni Islam, and Seventh-day Adventist.
That's a huge list.
Yeah, 18.
I didn't think there was that many major ones. Wow.
Christianity is 31% of the world. Islam's 24, but it's so little. It's so young, and it's 24% of the world.
Interesting.
Hinduism is only 15%.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, freaking.
What?
Oh, I mean, Catholicism just fucking. They just was a tirade. They just took over the whole world.
Yeah, they just took over.
Convert or I'll kill you.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the only reason they're on top.
Listen to my religion of peace, or I will fucking kill you.
Yeah.
Or I will shoot you with my gun.
Everything you believe in, forget it right now.
Yeah.
Write this down.
This is what you
Father,
know.
Son, Holy Spirit.
This is what you know now.
Write this down.
Yep.
You go to heaven, and you do not see me there. You're going to hell.
Is he Catholic? That guy? Christian?
It must be.
It's big in Africa and shit too.
Yeah, they got all the missions that go over there and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yep.
So yeah, man, what do you think of that Balochistan Sphinx? You reckon that's man-made or natural?
That's man-made.
I believe the same,
to
man.
me, I don't. The Egyptians probably went there, and there was probably something going on with them. They can walk by land. They definitely went there.
This is
Egyptians went all over the world.
This is really far out, and it would never have been discovered if they hadn't started building a freeway, and it was only accidentally found while the construction of the freeway was being built.
Are you serious?
Because it's just right out in the middle of nowhere.
Fuck. Just shows you how much of the world we don't even know, even if it's not covered.
Yep.
It's fucking just don't even know.
Yep.
Because I haven't been there. What the hell? All right, that's once.
But I 100% believe that it was the development of an actual Sphinx.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I think it is too. Do you think the Egyptians did it, or it was done by as you say, Pakistan?
Pakistan.
Pakistanis? Do you think it was done by the Pakistanis?
I don't even think they were Pakistan at the time, but
No, but the people that lived there,
yeah.
or it was done by the Egyptians who came there, and then they maybe wanted
Yeah.
to build something.
I think
for themselves. But why there? Maybe something to do with the planets. You know, all their shit was lined up with the planets.
Yeah,
maybe
true,
that was super
true,
important.
true.
And there's pyramids all over the world.
yeah,
too.
you know what? I want to know which direction this is facing.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to find out.
Yeah.
Because the Sphinx, this is another. This is according to Graham Hancock's journals, which I highly recommend listeners to check out. All his stuff is incredible. Which it lines up with the whole theory that I 100% believe that we are a species with amnesia, where he's pretty concretely shown that the Sphinx was created well before the time that Egyptologists say it was, and even the pyramids. As far back as we think the pyramids were built, they were as equally as far back built than that. And,
it was more like they was there before they even showed up.
The Egyptians that we know, they're like pretty modern compared to the actual creation of the pyramids and the Sphinx. And the Sphinx itself is like covered in this rainfall degradation from years of heavy deluge, and the only time it's rained that heavily for that a period of time is in a specific time in history during this great cataclysm that would have sent all this dust into the sky and caused a lot of rain for ages and ages. And he got professionals and showed just close up pictures of the rocks and showed the erosion. And he was like, "Is this the same? Is this showing characteristics of erosion from water?" And they all said yes. And then he showed them the full picture, and they didn't want to believe it. And he's been labeled as like a pseudoscientist and stuff like that.
I hate that shit.
Yeah, and even the Sphinx itself, it's clearly meant to be a big cat. It's a human face, but the human face is a lot smaller than the body, which doesn't make sense. It would have been built all to proportionally to scale, and the big cat is facing a specific direction, which if it were to be built around the same time that he says it would have been built, it would have been the exact pointing position of the age of Leo, I think at the beginning of the summer solstice. It's too perfect to not coincide with the timeline he says.
That they could build this shit back then.
Yeah.
I wonder what the hell they were doing it for.
Man, there
must be some spiritual importance to it.
They were on
like some sort of spiritual channeling.
Yeah,
I believe.
Isn't there something under the Sphinx that they haven't let anyone see? There's like a big cavity under there.
I don't know.
I have to look into that. I feel like I remember seeing there's a little gap at the back where you could see something down there. People have tried to get down there. I have to look into that.
Yeah.
From your question earlier, I think that this civilization that would have developed the pyramids and stuff like that may have, I think they may have just spread really far. I think they might have operated, because, you know, the countries that we have now, they're very modern countries.
Yeah.
These regions were just like way different back in the day. So I think, yes, definitely the people that built the Sphinx may have built this.
And that's before the Egyptians even showed up.
Yeah,
so that's crazy.
I believe the Egyptians are a race of people who have come back to that area, who may have been from that area originally, or they stumbled across that area and absorbed all that knowledge and religion because they were close enough related to the people that were originally there. But so, I believe in this great reset that would have happened during the Younger Dryas period.
Very cool. I want to dive deep on that subject one day.
I would love to go into it with you, man.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah. Future episode. But, it's so interesting. I just want to know what the hell it was for.
I know, man. I know, me too. It's such a big marvel.
It'd be driving historians crazy. And what I don't like, though, about the historians is that if it disproves their theory, they're like, no, can't exist.
Well, that's
then my
the thing.
theory gets disproved, and then the ego comes into place before the actual fact.
Yeah. The Egyptologists don't want to budge with this concrete evidence. It's so blatantly obvious, but there's so much money to be made and all, you know, history books that have already been written and all these journals that they don't want to budge. The model is set in stone and they don't want to change it. And I feel like there's so much proof that it needs to be relooked at. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, we're just teaching everyone the wrong shit about our humans' history. And man, the longer we leave it, the more history is going to get erased. How much shit has happened throughout the years where priceless architecture and sculptures have just been destroyed. Remember when ISIS just went through and just destroyed all that amazing sculptures and things like that? That's like history, man. Is terrible.
Imagine what's been done over thousands of years of destruction.
During the time when like the pyramids were just freaking found by like the Western countries, and they were just, the odds and oddities was such a big thing, and everyone was just like, oh, I have this rare diamond skull. Here you go, buy it from me in America. And then that goes around, and some random person in America passes it down through lineages, and just this priceless artifact is just sitting in someone's basement or some shit.
Yeah, and they got no clue.
They got no clue about the worth of it. I think recently I remember seeing, what's his name? Caesar. What was his name? What was his actual name?
Julius Caesar.
Was his name something else?
Julius
Caligula.
Caesar. Huh?
Who's Caligula?
I don't know who the fuck you're talking about.
Who's Caligula?
I don't know.
Is Caligula... Yeah, okay. Caligula is Julius Caesar. Okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
What? Is that his real name?
Yeah, I believe. Oh. Gaius Julius Caesar Augustus. That's such a long name. Also known by his nickname Caligula. Okay, nickname. Obviously, he was known as a big orgy man.
Yeah.
And he had these crazy...
The big orgy man.
Let me try and bring up a picture of these ships that were built for his freaking orgies, dude. Like,
what?
These things...
I have never heard
Look
of
at
this
these.
shit.
He would have just sex parties on these fantastic, grand ships, right? Anyway, I think they were burnt or something like that, and they sunk to this lake or whatever, and one of the Italian rulers at the time knew. He drained the whole thing to salvage it, and then I think some bits and pieces were taken away, and years and years and years later, someone freaking had one of the tiles from this ship as a bloody coffee table, and he was using it for years. He had no idea how important it was.
How did he find out it was from the ship?
This is literally a 2,000-year-old mosaic from Caligula's orgy ship, goes from from coffee table to return relic. Imagine that. You're just having coffee and donuts, and you're just dropping shit on it, and this thing's been like, had just all sorts of genitals all over, just slathered all over it.
Wow. Or you don't know what the ground you're standing on is half the time.
Nah. Imagine that, man. And like, that was just sold.
That reminds me of, that's fucking cool.
I hate that, man. Like, that's history.
It was in pristine condition then.
And I bet you the person that sold it barely would have even made much at the time.
No.
You know?
It reminds me of the Antiques Roadshow episode I saw where this guy came in and he's like got these like amazing porcelain vases or whatever, and he's had a collection of them. And then the guy who was looking at them was actually like the valuator was shaking.
Oh,
he's like, I have never seen. He's like, the moment I saw this, I knew I had to come look at it.
Yeah,
and he's looking at the bottom, looking at the thing, and he's like, this is from like the 3rd century, Jing Dynasty, fucking like antique. Like the king would have owned this of China. He's like, he would have had this in his house. And, he's looking at the bottom and he's like, it's got the inscription. It's got the 3-piece set. It's all together. It's like a teapot as well. And he's like, oh shit, I bought this at the junk shop. I've been using it as an umbrella rack for like 20 years. And it was worth like $2 million.
Dude, how do you hold on to pottery that long and not break it, pottery of all things,
Yeah, I don't know. It's of ours.
That's
just like I keep it near
from
the door.
From the 2nd century. Holy crap! That whoever, I want to shake everyone's hand that has owned that.
Yeah, and it's never
that not broken it.
Oh yeah,
some like kid just running and passing it. Oh well, there's a junk.
I know.
A pottery is something that breaks all the time. To hold it, how long is two century? From 2 century to here?
That's like what? It's like 1,400 years. 1,400 years.
Yes, that I can't believe that did not break. That is amazing. Wow, that's very.
Don't quote me on the year, but
impressive though. It's still very impressive.
Incredible.
Very impressive, man.
Watching that guy, like and he's like floored by the my God, I cannot believe I just been sitting this in. He's like, I just drove it in my car in the back seat or whatever.
Oh my God, dude. And the guy would have been like holding it with like these cotton gloves and like being so delicate. He's like, he would have just taken it out of the boot, like reach over shit and just dragged it out.
I can't believe he was just holding it up and lifting it upside down. I would have been just too scared.
I would want it in a full like fortress structure that you can look at, but you can shake it and it won't even budge.
Yeah,
there's like so much shock resistance and stuff. Yeah, that's how I'd want it.
Oh, dude, you just reminded me. Have you seen the top of what is that tower called in China?
People that listen to the podcast, do you have anything that is incredibly rare that you can talk about? Let us know in the comments. I'd love to know. What are some ancient oddities you have? Any artisanal things that have been passed down? Any relics that have been passed down through ancestors? Let us know. Are you a descendant of Caligula?
Okay. I came across this the other day. Have you seen this thing?
I don't know what I'm looking at.
Just look at it.
What is this?
This is inside of a skyscraper. Right? This is inside of a skyscraper because a skyscraper is so tall that the sway of the wind, it needs this counterbalance in the top of the tower to stop the tower collapsing. That's how much the wind sway is.
Because it could bend so much and snap.
Yep. So this thing is called
Being chilling.
So it's a 1,600 foot tall Taipei 101. Was the tallest building in the world, even though since it's given up to title to the Burj Khalifa. The iconic Taiwanese super tall is still damned impressive. And in this past weekend, its terminal set a new record while keeping upright in a typhoon. Right? Like all super tall skyscrapers, Taipei 101 has a mechanism inside of it to help stabilize itself in high winds. These dampers don't keep a tower from swaying in high winds. You can definitely feel a tall tower move, but they do keep that movement controlled. This thing weighs 728 tons.
The ball. Oh my God.
The ball is, they had to suspend this 92 floors into the sky and carry it up with multiple cranes, building cranes upon cranes upon cranes. So they'd have the cranes build the crane to then build that crane to then build the crane.
Jeez.
Like 10 times.
How? That is impressive engineering, man.
And they had to pull 728
I can't even picture that. How could you lift something that heavy? I can't picture anything man-made that can hoist that much weight.
And then they had to build these crazy friggin' piston devices that allow it to sway in the wind and counterbalance. I saw this and was like, what the fuck? The typhoon was 135 miles an hour wind. You know when you go outside on a super windy day here in Australia, that's like 35 Ks.
And how much was that?
Probably about almost 200 kilometers an hour.
And imagine up at the top that high.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy that it's scary that they have to build buildings to be able to sway. It's terrifying.
They have to build it like that.
Terrifying.
Anyway, yeah, this thing,
almost makes you think, like,
globe
what's it
suspended
for?
between the 87th and the 92nd floors, part of the movement you can see building around. It's a giant movement damper.
Is it mechanically sinking when it builds, so it forces itself the opposite way to kind of counteract?
It's just counterbalancing. Yeah, it's counterbalancing with computers.
It's like a pendulum thing.
No. Yeah. It doesn't just stand in place. It's like there's a computer, I think.
Wow, dude. That is impressive and kind of scary. I mean, imagine just for decorations, they have a glass ceiling so you can see it right in the distance just hovering above everyone.
So people can you can go look at it, I think, from the floors.
Wow.
And there's also like a button that tells you when you go in the elevator and you're going to near the top floors, it's like telling you the G-force of how quick you're going up and the kilometers per hour you're moving up.
It goes faster and faster, like it accelerates.
It's so fast. It takes like a minute.
I know
just
that
like insane speed.
That really tall building in Malaysia, I know that is so tall that you can reach terminal velocity if you jump off it. That's how tall it is. And it's so tall that Ramadan, there's signs in the building.
The Burj Khalifa?
Is that in Dubai?
Yeah, that's Dubai. Is that what you're talking about, the Ramadan building?
For some reason maybe it's the one in Dubai. And it has signs in the foyer, and then some different signs higher up because the sun sets at different times on this tower.
Yeah, because
that Ramadan affects. Yeah, it's so tall. Ramadan has 2 different time zones in it. Crazy.
Jesus Christ.
Crazy.
But Why does it need to be so big?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't even know if I would want to set foot in that. I don't care how big it is. It's not in Marvel enough to me. It just, that to me is like, let's do the most dangerous thing we possibly can.
Yeah.
I don't see that lasting the test of time.
What do you mean? The pendulum thing?
The whole building.
I don't know.
I can't
it's
see
been
it.
standing for a while.
I can't see it
And it
lasting like
stayed up in a
hundreds of
hurricane.
years. Hundreds of years, you reckon something like that will be able to...
With maintenance,
Yeah?
for sure. Yeah.
Damn. Impressive.
Well, they can't
Very
just
impressive.
well, they must have to do maintenance on it. I'm sure of that.
Write that down.
Yeah, write this down. Okay, that's it, man. We're done.
We're done.
Another episode of it.
Wow, I think that was awesome, man.
A lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, man, we pulled it all out. We pulled out all the fresh stops. Everybody, thank you again for listening to this episode and watching this episode of Double Dose. We'll catch you next week, Monday.
See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.